Welcome to another one of our little videos talking about Doctor Who. We're doing something a bit different for the second episode, which wasn't planned.
No.
We weren't meant to be doing this. We were going to be doing another story.
Yes.
But in our last video, Had You Watched It, which was Death to the Daleks, we thought, seeing as we've got it, we would look to this. The, whatever they call it.
It's the very best of the first 5 decades, as voted by mentalists.
You.
All of you, mentalists.
And we thought, well, we'll just see what Death of the Daleks can. We were quite shocked. And then we were looking at the other ones and we were starting to get a bit of a rage on. And I sort of said, well, why don't we do a video about it? So here we are.
We're going to do it now. We were talking about the episode that you probably got the most flack for reviewing on this channel, which was The Stolen Earth Journey's End.
Yeah.
And we were wondering where it was. And we were kind of looking towards the right-hand side. If you don't know, the poll works so that very best stories here, the best one being The Day of the Doctor, apparently. Of the first 50 years, this is. So just,
yeah, 50
you
years,
heard me
and
right.
Day of the Doctor, the one that came out in November.
Which is good, stonking great story, but it's not the greatest story ever made. I think it's probably up there because of the hype that the 50th anniversary got.
Yeah.
It's not a detriment on the story, it's just the fact that it was so hyped up. Anyway, and then we've also got the lower ranked episodes down here. And Death to the Daleks, we were very surprised to find in this kind of area of the third column, which is just to the left of all the very worst stories. So, yes, I found a story that apparently, according to the people who voted in this poll, I was one of them, and I voted very fairly, and I voted as any rational person would.
I filled it all out and forgot to send it off to Panini. So
See,
it's my fault.
It's your fault.
My vote could have changed everything.
This is why people need to vote in all elections.
I know.
Because if you don't, then stuff like this happens.
All right? I tell you what it was.
Yeah.
I'd done a load, and they were missing, stories that don't exist anymore. And I just started doing my little marathon.
Yeah.
I'm on Seeds of Death at the moment. I started in November with Unearthly Child,
Okay.
so it's taken me a while. And I thought, oh, well, I'm watching all the recons, which I've never done before, and I thought I can then put
That's
all
pretty
those
cool.
in there. But I forgot. And then when the time came round, the thing had ended, and I thought, crap.
Bugger.
Yeah.
Oh well.
My brother put all the Matt Smith stories as ones, or a lot of them.
This is the story that apparently, according to you, the readers and reviewers of Doctor Who magazine, you felt this story was worse than The Stolen Earth Journey's End, okay? So, The Stolen Earth and Journey's End is at 35.
Ludicrous.
Okay, out of 241 stories, okay? Would you like to know which story came in at 46?
Go on then.
Right, which is, I'd like to just remind you all, it's a whole 11 places down from The Stolen Earth and Journey's End. Okay, at number, where is it? I've lost it again. At number 46, The Daleks.
What? As low down as that?
There it is.
My God.
The Daleks, the mutants, aka the Daleks. Don't call it the mutants, DWM, it's the Daleks. The same goes for An Unearthly Child, it's called An Unearthly Child. Where is it? Stolen Earth Journey's End.
That is ridiculous. How is
The Time Warrior, lower down as well.
No, you're not telling me that the Time Warrior is not as good as that shit story.
Yeah, the Time Warrior is it's 54.
That is ridiculous. You better not tell me that Poison crap, that shit's on Torrent story from series 4 beat the Time Warrior, because then
No, that's there. That's,
oh well,
that's 144. You people voted well there.
Yeah, well that's still probably too high.
But it's still higher than Death to the Daleks, so you voted wrong in that respect.
You sicken us.
Okay, right. Let's see. Do you know which story is almost on par with the TV movie? Let's Kill Hitler. Apparently.
What? No,
it's almost on par.
I mean, I'm one of those people who don't think the TV movie is that good a story.
No,
as a story,
not great.
It's not. It's just But anything is better than Let's Kill Hitler.
Where does Paradise Towers come?
I reckon it's.
Are you automatically?
Yeah, well, I was right. I was right. 230.
It's The Doctor, the Widow, and the Wardrobe is not better than Paradise Towers.
Now, I don't like Paradise Towers. I think it's bad. But The Doctor, the Widow, and the Wardrobe, that should be forced to people who are on death row in the United States. Before they get killed, they should say, right, we're going to sit you down and watch this on a loop for 24 hours. Do
you know what's funny? We're saying all this stuff about the Moffat stories and stuff, but some of the Moffat stories that are very high up and we don't think they're supposed to be.
Yeah.
I don't mind Stephen Moffat. I think his writing is touch and go a lot of the time. He was a superb writer at the beginning.
Definitely.
Absolutely stellar. I hate it when people say it's impossible for Stephen Moffat to write a good story. Well, no.
No, that's not
He
true.
wrote Blink.
Yeah.
Splinker's a superb story.
Yeah, and Dr. Dances and Empty Child, that's
Yes,
a very good story.
unbelievable, absolutely fantastic.
And I like Girl in the Fireplace.
Yeah, Girl in the Fireplace is quite cool. But that's not to be said that he's a superb writer.
No.
You have a lot of people who say Stephen Moffat is the greatest writer in the world. He's close. He's fairly close at the moment in terms of television, I've got to say. Vince Gilligan with Breaking Bad's probably higher. And I'll also say something you probably won't like. I really like The Doctor's Wife.
Now, I rewatched The Doctor's Wife a little while ago. And other than all the stuff with Idris, I thought as a story it was really good.
Yeah.
I liked all the stuff with House, all the stuff inside the TARDIS with House, all the shifting things and old Rory. That's actually really creepy stuff. And that's actually really, really well done. I think just what kicks it in the knackers for me is all the stuff with Idris.
Probably. But then again, I did like the idea that the Doctor finally gets to talk to the TARDIS. I thought that was quite nice.
Yeah.
Because they have been travelling companions for longer than he's had travelling companions ever.
Yeah, that's true.
Apart from Susan, who was with her at the start.
Okay, so the Shakespeare Code, partners in crime, are both considered better than Greatest Show in the Galaxy.
Good
That
rule.
is... Well, that's... words fail me. I mean, State of Decay. State of Decay is... So
I don't really rate State of Decay, to be
Don't
honest.
you like State of Decay? Oh, I love State of Decay. So Greatest Show in the Galaxy was 108. And it's gone up. It was 119. But then guess we've got to remember there was less episodes.
Yeah, there have been another 30 episodes that have been added to this list.
So generally it was given 71.95%. That was the average.
Yeah.
I think my trouble with the McCoy era is only that first season.
Yeah.
And then Silver Gnosis. I love season 25. I love season 26. I mean, I'm looking at them now. Season 26 is fantastic.
Yeah.
Battlefield's a bit iffy, but otherwise, that is a really good run of stories.
I don't think you can really have a series of Doctor Who without having at least one or two duds in it. I mean, with the exception of Series 7.
Series 7.
I mean, maybe Doctor Who and the Silurians.
Oh, I love that story.
I think the Ambassadors of Death is better.
Now, I'm
than
not so
Silurians.
keen on Ambassadors.
I love even if it's just for the. I love the stings
of death.
Yeah, I love that. It's great. It's a cool little espionage story.
Yeah.
It's like I know they tried to kind of do the whole Bond thing, but it's like if they actively went out and said we're going to make a Bond film.
I think my problem with Ambassadors of Death for 7 episodes, it is too much of. Now we're here, or we're captured, or now we're back here, and we're captured. Yes. But you get that a lot with those sort of 6-7 part Pertwee stories anyway.
Yes, yeah.
It's tricky. I would say that season 13. There's probably not a bad story in the bunch. Probably the weakest would be Android Invasion, and I quite like that story. Terror of the Zygons.
Hang on, is Planet of Evil in that bunch?
Yeah.
I'm not keen on Planet of Evil.
No?
No.
I quite like Planet of Evil.
It's not my...
I wouldn't have it highly rated, but I like it.
It's fun. I just said it's not my cup of tea, and I think that's kind of the point for a lot of Doctor Who stories, that you have a certain flavour of stories that you like.
Yeah.
I think that the problem is, in the new series, that flavour hasn't really been explored an awful lot. I think what would the flavour be? It would be...
Shit flavour. I would say that the new series flavour would be something really sweet. And it's something that some people might find quite pleasant and other people would find a bit too sweet.
Yes.
And just a bit too much of it. Yeah. Even with a sweet tooth, it would give you a bit of gut rot.
I think Sharda's
very good.
I don't think it's as good as everybody says it is. I think Sharda is only good because it has that legacy behind it.
Do you reckon?
I don't think Sharda would... If Sharda was a complete story, I don't think it would be as thought highly of. The fact it's written by...
Dougie Adams, yeah. I always enjoyed the Paul McGann version of Sharda.
I've never seen it.
The animated version.
No, I haven't seen it, no.
Yeah, it's difficult to watch because it's not animated well like Shalka or any of the missing
That's
episodes.
The next one, Shalka.
Yeah, Shalka. That's going to be exciting.
That's going to be cool.
Shame that Shalka's not in here.
Yeah, well, it's not canon, is it?
No.
But we can talk about the canonicity of that. Yeah. Ooh, more to come. The Aztecs. Where does the Aztecs come?
The Aztecs. I'm going to look.
Aztecs, I think.
I really love that story.
With the exception of the Gunfighters, I think is probably my favourite historical story, and I like Reign of Terror as well.
It was the last one on the first row.
That's not bad.
61.
61. That's pretty good.
Not quite as good as the Sea Devils, but better than the Gopolis.
That sounds about right. Yeah.
And according to this, The Impossible Astronaut Day of the Moon is better than the Aztecs.
No, it's not.
It's a good story. I did like that episode.
Really?
But I did, actually. But I wouldn't have said it was better than the Aztecs, by any means. Utopia is very good.
Utopia is very good. Sound of Drums and Last of the Time Lords, I think, is actually a fairly That's how to do a season finale right, in my opinion.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't like that.
Oh, well, never mind. The Time of Angels, Flesh of Stone. I really like that.
I like that one.
I think
really
that's
like
a really strong.
I think because it's got the Doctor in it, I think it's probably a bit better than Blink in some respects.
I think that, with the exception of The Beast Below, I think that is Moffat's last great Doctor Who story.
Definitely.
Up until he blows us away, hopefully, with stories coming up this year. Like Listen, I think is supposed to be extremely good.
A good one.
Web of Fear. Now this is interesting. Web of Fear and Enemy of the World, because they were found last year.
They've gone really high up.
They've gone really high up, and I think part of that is to do with the hype.
Yeah.
Suddenly they've been found, but I think Web of Fear was fairly high anyway, wasn't it?
Generally speaking, I think everyone thought Web of Fear was fantastic. Everyone thought Enemy of the World was shite.
But where does Enemy of the World come now? Because I've never seen or heard Enemy of the World. I'd never heard it. Sorry, before it was found again.
No one had ever really.
I'd never really bothered.
Neither had I.
I'd watched the one episode that was on.
Episode 3, wasn't it?
In Lost of Time, and I think that I watched it again, and I thought, this is brilliant. What a freaking great story this is. It's a proper espionage story.
It feels like it should be a poetry story,
yeah,
doesn't it?
Yeah, oh, it does. Yeah, of course it does. Yeah.
Web of Fear was very good when I watched it, and I really did enjoy it. But I didn't think it was. It's got a lot of atmosphere to it. I think the trouble with Web of Fear is that it's a bit too much of is it them? Is it them? Is it them? Is it them?
Oh, yes,
and it seems to go on for a bit too long. And then when you get to episode 6 at the end, it's like, poof, that's it.
If you're sort of like rational minded, you can pretty much work out it's staff from the beginning. Yeah, I think you can pretty much work out it's him.
And he's on the front of the Target novelisation, so that's what.
Is he?
Yeah.
Ah, okay, fine then. There we go.
But let's look at Enemy of the World, because
that's not a spoiler. Can I say for the rest of these videos, these episodes have been around for more than 50 years.
Yeah.
We're not going to prefix any of it with spoilers.
No.
Because you should have watched them anyway, really.
And I'll be honest, I think when I was growing up watching Doctor Who and seeing all these stories and things, I knew, for a lot of the cases, I knew like little bits and pieces from each story.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember Tom Baker year's videotape, showed a clip from each one. I didn't watch that video and then think, spoilers!
No. Yeah.
Bastard, Baker, coming along, showing us a clip from episode 4. I know what happens now.
It makes sense. It makes sense, I suppose, that nowadays, obviously, if you've been away and it's like, don't tell me what's happening.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Because you're following it along as it's happening.
Am I the only person who thinks that the only episode UK Gold ever put up was Day of the Daleks? That's the only episode that ever seemed to be on UK Gold. That and the Sea Devils.
Sea Devils was on a lot.
Yeah.
What me and my brother used to do, we used to get up 6 o'clock on a Saturday morning.
Yeah.
With a blank tape. And
Stick it in.
Yeah, and we would
I used to get my grandparents to do that for me.
Yeah, see.
And that and Robot Wars.
You people with your internet and stuff, and you can just stream them online and buy the DVD.
And watch them illegally at .com.
Yeah, that. We were watching it on UK Gold, and you're thinking, what's UK Gold? It's gold now.
Yeah.
That's not as good. Silence in the Library, better than the Horror of Fang Rock? I don't think so, somehow. What do you think?
I don't know. No, it's definitely not Silence in the Library. It's definitely not better than
Horror of Fang Rock's a fantastic story.
Yeah.
Why that's only 32? That's mad. Evil of the Daleks was only just above Stolen Earth.
Wow. And School Reunion. School Reunion is that high up. Even I know it's got Sarah Jane in it.
But it's not that good.
It's not that good at all.
It's alright.
It's got Sarah Jane and K9. In terms of fan service, it's probably one of the best Doctor episodes ever, apart from the 50th anniversary and the 5 Doctors and 3
Stolen
Doctors
Earth,
and
Journey's
2
End,
Doctors.
depending on what sort of a fan you are.
Yes, if you're a mental fan.
Now I got a lot of this. I don't know if you noticed this, but when I did that video about Stolen Earth,
is that still up, or did you take that one down?
It's privatised.
Okay.
I could just flick it on like that and it'd be back.
He has the power.
I have the power. That story, when I said, it was one for the fans, all these assholes, no offence, came along and said, well, you're not a fan then if you didn't like it, despite I had, like, every episode of Doctor Who behind my head.
And a Cyberman
I've got, I mean, look at all this. I'm hardly not a fan.
Yeah.
I mean, look at us. We're talking about this. We must be fans.
Yes.
But what I meant was, and I actually said this at the beginning, but obviously no one ever listened, was it's a particular type of fan. Mm-hmm. Now, Billy and I grew up watching classic Doctor Who, so we automatically...
Which is the right way to do it.
Yeah, we
there's no right or one way to really watch Doctor Who. As long as you like it, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, but I think you would put your hand on your heart and say, naturally, you are always going to lean to the older stuff.
Yes, I'd say so. Yeah.
And that's what I meant. So, you know, an episode like that, in terms of all the companions coming together,
Yes.
you're not going to get as much from it as someone who grew up and they were your first companions.
I don't think so. No, I don't think so.
And that's what I meant.
Yeah.
I didn't mean that. Oh, it's a fan service story, and you know, as such, all fans should like it. And if you don't like it, you're not a fan. That's just idiots putting words into my mouth. I just said that if a new series fan is probably going to get a lot more out of this than an old school fan is, because an old, you know. For us, it was Davros coming back. That's what we were excited about.
Yeah.
And he was oddly in it. He was crap in it. So, you know, he did a very good performance.
Superb, yeah.
Although I wasn't so keen of his, like, very hand business. I quite like it. It was very stilted.
Do you know what I watched yesterday?
What's that?
To get myself prepared for the atmosphere of doing a review with Matt, I watched your review with John of Remembrance of the Daleks.
Yeah.
And you brought up the fact that Davros has like a head in that story. A head, and then he comes back in Stolen Earth, and he's got like a full body.
Yeah.
But then I realised that's even more continuity laden because you've got the time war happening between that, and apparently he dies in it.
Yeah.
So what's left of him then?
Yeah.
Is there even less left of him?
But they say in that story, they say that Khan went back and got him like before he died.
Oh, yeah. No, but then you you would assume that he's in his Emperor chair.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Of course. Yeah.
During the Time War.
Yeah.
And the Daleks.
Not in my series, you didn't.
Yeah. No. And the Daleks are probably they're not in their gold and white livery, are they? They're in
their bronze.
So
they're the Doctor.
So it's a different design of Davros
again, isn't it?
That isn't in. It's a different design of Davros in the Time War then.
Yeah.
Compared to the new series. And
like halfway through, part of a torso.
Yeah. He's just
grown it back.
No, it's just a head. It's a head rolling around. Or he's like in Futurama. He's like a head in one of those.
In a jar with liquid.
He's Morbius.
He's Morbius. Yeah.
That's where they got it from. Okay, your favourite Doctor Who story of all time is Pyramids of Mars, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right. Where's that?
Number 8.
Number 8. Fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Although it was beaten by The Empty Child, nonsense, and it was beaten by Blink, nonsense, and it was beaten by The Day of the Doctor, nonsense again. So, what would be your favourite episode of all time?
Yeah, Curse of Peladon.
It's Curse of Peladon. Yeah. Let's see where that came.
That's somewhere here.
There it is, Curse of Peladon. So Planet of Evil was slightly better.
The Lodger is better than Curse of Peladon, apparently.
Well, The Lodger is apparently better than Curse of Peladon. Oh, Keeper of Trocken. Yeah. Well, actually, no. Why did I say Keeper of Trocken? As if to say the Keeper of Trocken was slightly worse than The Lodger. That's ridiculous.
I think the interesting one here, the Moon Base.
I like the Moon
Christmas Carol is better than the Moon Base.
You make me sick.
Yeah. I think that the Moon Base is brilliant, made better, I think, by the animation on the DVD.
Really?
I think the animation is so cool on the DVD.
Good.
When they come out of their ship and they come out of the cave or whatever,
That's really
and
cool.
they're doing the moonwalk.
Yeah.
So
they're doing the moonwalk.
That'd be brilliant. I'd love to see that. Can we get Planet 55 to do a reanimation and then moonwalking across the moon surface? The Ice Warriors. Ooh, that's interesting. The Ice Warriors is at 141.
Gosh, it's quite low. What's around it?
Sontaran Experiment is one place up.
Yeah.
The Faceless Ones is one place down.
Yeah.
Gridlock is above that. End of the World is above that. Cold War is above that.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, so the most recent, the newest Ice Warrior story is apparently in this better than the first one.
I wouldn't agree with that. As much as I liked Cold War, and I really did, and I know a lot of people didn't, for some reason.
Yeah.
I really liked it. I don't know. I mean, my girlfriend always says it's because the Ice Warriors came back and you just got really excited about it. But then again, yeah, I mean, I've got my problems with that story.
Yeah.
With the Ice Warrior coming out of the suit. I think that only works once. You could never do that again.
No.
Never do that again.
No.
Mark Gatiss, if you want to write all these Ice Warrior stories like you keep saying you do, never do that again.
I love you, Mark Gatiss. You're brilliant.
But
Okay,
don't do that again.
Here's an interesting one. So we've got Paradise Towers, which is a story that I said I really liked, and Matt not so much, is a couple of places up from the Rings of Akaten.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
I don't know.
That's a tricky one.
That is a tricky one.
I like Rings of Akaten.
Yeah, it's probably trickier for you, but I don't like either of them.
No, fair enough. Okay. It's a bit of a long question then, isn't it? The Crotons, Silver Nemesis.
Now, I rewatched the Crotons the other day in my
Yeah.
marathon, and when I thought, I've got the Crotons to watch, I thought, God almighty. So I watched it all in one go, in one sitting, just to get it over and done with. It is a bad story, personally. Yeah. What was the stories around it?
Oh, I've completely lost the page now. Never mind. Hang on.
Sorry.
Keep talking about the story.
Yeah, it's a funny one. Episode 1's really slow. Episode 2, 3, bit better. Episode 4's a bit wishy-washy.
So Silver Nemesis is one place above it.
Yeah, okay.
Daleks in Manhattan, Evolution of the Daleks is one place below it.
Wow, they thought that the Crotons was better than that.
Just
My God.
one place.
That's quite interesting.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, they're both crap. So...
If you want to get this and you want to pour over it and hate it as well, it's not in the stores anymore, is it, actually? Because there's a new edition. Somewhere online, somebody will have posted the whole poll up. So, tell us, basically, are we wrong with everything we've said? We don't think we are.
What we should have done is we should have gone through the top 20 of each.
Oh.
Shall we quickly do that?
So hang on.
If we go back to here, so let's just whistle-stop tour.
Yeah.
So we're not spending too much time on it. So the 60s.
The 60s.
20, the Moon Base. Then you've got Massacre of St. Bartholomew's Eve, or just the Massacre. That. Now this is an interesting one.
Yeah.
Because I had listened to the Massacre whenever this was, and I didn't get it because there's a lot of characters, they're all French names, and there's a lot of... they're all on one side and they're all on another, and it gets a bit muddly when you can't see who these people are. I watched the recon and I enjoyed it a lot more, and it is quite a good story. That's
kind of something that comes along with listening to the audios, though, isn't it? With any story, I mean, even something like the 10th Planet, you'd be confused about which Cyberman is which, even though they've got names.
Yeah, I mean, obviously with audio, I mean, I guess the audio, actual Big Finish stuff is actually written to be listened to, so you've got more of a leeway with that.
Yeah.
But obviously this, it is a visual medium, it's television.
Number 15 of all the 1960s stories is the first Doctor Who story.
Yeah.
I would have thought that'd be much higher up.
Do you reckon?
I think it's a great, with the exception of the fact that it slows pretty much down to a halt halfway through part 2, and they can start talking about fire for the next 50 minutes. It's a shame. But I think it is a very
Episode
good story.
1's cracking.
The Time Meddler, I don't think that deserves to be in the top 20.
What?
No.
Time Meddler's a brilliant story, are you mad?
No. What else have we got here?
My God, what's wrong with you?
Enemy of the World. Yes, of course, that's a great story. The Mutants is only 7.
Now I'm going to be honest, and you'll probably think I'm mental, but I actually think Time Meddler is a better story than the Daleks.
You are mental. The Invasion, number 5. I would have thought the Invasion would probably be number 2 or 1.
Yeah, that would have been higher.
But number 1 is the War Games.
Now that is mad. War Games is a very good story, but I don't think it should be number 1.
I think the Invasion, or just for the sake of the fact this is the first ever story, An Unearthly Charge would probably be number 1. Really? Yeah.
Power of the Daleks is a very good story. It came number 3. Right, 70s.
So the 70s, the Sea Devils. I think it's more. I kind of agree with a lot of those. Maybe with the exception of Terror of the Autons in the top 20. I think I agree with the majority.
You've got a lot of good ones. Green Death, Demons, Horrorfang Rock.
Yeah.
All the ones you would expect to be there.
Yeah. The Ark in Space. I wouldn't put it number 10. I wouldn't put it in the top 10. I'd put it like in the top 20.
Good story then.
Yeah, it is a good story. Deadly Assassin should be in the top 5.
Yeah, definitely.
The Seeds of Doom.
Good story.
Yeah.
But I think it's a bit long.
Yeah, it gets slightly baggy. Inferno should be number 1. Terror of the Zygons. It's good, watchable. I'm not a massive fan of it.
No, I wouldn't say it was that high up.
No.
Robots of Death is instantly a classic.
Yeah, Robots of Death is fantastic. Pyramids of Mars, number 4.
Yeah.
I'd say in terms of the 70s, I'd say 4 is about right. Not overall. I'm saying just in the 70s, that's about right. Talons of Wen Chang.
3.
Yeah. A lot of people say that's the most overrated Doctor Who story of all time.
Really?
Yeah, which is interesting.
I really like it.
Yeah, I think it's superb.
Yeah.
City of
Death.
A
lot of people get bogged down about the racism thing now. And I think you just have to take it as a sign of the times.
Yeah.
Not that, I'm not condoning what they did.
Totally.
But I was watching The Crusade in my marathon, and all the actors in that were white. Well, most of them were white actors blacked up. Yep. But you just have to sort of go, well, it's not good.
Yeah,
but
it's not good.
You're just going to have to. That was television.
Bill Hartnell's attitude towards a lot of his co-stars wasn't the greatest. Genesis of the Daleks, number 1, probably has to be there.
Yeah.
I wouldn't necessarily agree that it is.
I wouldn't say it was number 1. But
the 80s, this is going to be cool because it's usually seen as the weakest. And I've already seen 20, and I think it's wrong. Castrovalva at number 20.
Where would you put it?
I'd put it lower down.
Yeah, I would as well.
Mordrin Undead. It's a bit of a mess story, though. I'm not.
Yeah, I don't know why it's that high.
Warrior's Gate.
No, I don't.
Snake Dance, The Visitation. Right, the first 4 are pretty meh.
Yeah.
Visitation, I kind of agree, probably should be in the top 20.
I do like State of Decay.
Great Show should be higher.
Resurrection
of the Daleks probably a bit.
I don't know why Keeper of Trocken's that high. Keeper of Trocken was 12.
Ghostlight.
11.
Now we're going to do Ghostlight, aren't we? Because we don't understand what it's about.
Who does? It'd be
Yeah.
interesting to see what they say when we come to that.
Yes,
Because they've got a little bit.
that'd be cool. Survival.
It's a good story, but I don't think it should be that high up.
No. Enlightenment.
Enlightenment is pants, I'm afraid.
Even the special edition. Yeah, Revelation of the Daleks.
It's a good one. I don't know if it would be that
I
high.
put it in the top 20. Top 10, sorry. I put it in the top 10, but I don't think it'd be that high up in my top 10. It'd probably be number 10, probably.
No.
Kinder.
Excellent
Have
story.
we come across Vengeance on Barrows yet?
No.
Hopefully that's higher up. Megapolis, number 6.
Not better than Kinder.
I'd probably put it in the top 10, though.
Would you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just for the sake that it's Tom's last story.
Oh, okay.
Curse of Fenric.
You'll get your first master.
Yes.
Fenric's very, very good.
Fenric is fantastic. The Five Doctors is number 4.
Now I have a real problem with the Five Doctors because it's an 80s story, but it's like Day of the Doctor.
Yeah.
It's a Doctor Who story.
Yeah.
But it's a particular kind of Doctor Who story. It's written as a celebratory story as opposed to a story.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes, absolutely.
So,
it does lose certain elements purely because of the fact you've got to support 4 or 5 actors in it, and that's why I think a multi-Doctor story wouldn't have worked. A more multi-Doctor story for the 50th anniversary wouldn't have worked.
Yeah.
Because you've got 11, 12, 13, 14, whatever actors you've got to cram in there.
Yeah.
So I don't think that would have worked very well. Earthshock at number 3 probably should be lower down.
Really? I really like Earthshock.
But I think it probably did, yeah.
Can you imagine what it'd been like to be a kid in the 80s, not
knowing the Cybermen were going to turn up?
No wonder people...
Not knowing Adric was going to die.
Yeah.
Me and I were celebrated.
Me too.
Remembrance of the Daleks at number 2. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty.
Yeah, I'd say. Yeah.
What was number 1?
And the King's Own Design.
Yeah. So Vengeance on Barrows wasn't even in there.
I'm really surprised. I would have supplemented probably some of the top 10 for Vengeance on Barrows.
Yeah.
Because it's a different type of story. I think it does the dark thing a lot.
I'm just sort of looking now to try and think what I would necessarily put in
Well,
there.
it's sandwiched between Attack of the Cybermen, and the Mark of the Rani, which I've grown to like more, but I don't think it's any better than Vengeance on Barrows. Lovely. Well, anyway, thank you very much for watching, everybody. And
thank you. And we will see you for...
Scream of the Shalka.
Scream of the Shalka. I've only watched it once. I can't remember anything about it. I don't really know anything about it.
Yeah.
So...
Bye.
Cheerio.
Even in the new box set.
Yeah.
The new Adric one.
Have you got it?
No. I've heard the trailer and it's crap. Oh, well.
I haven't listened to it.
It's Adric, so what do you expect? Sorry, Matthew. Anyway, not you.
People say I look like Matthew Waterhouse. Do you think I look like Matthew Waterhouse in person? No, I know. See? Madness. And people say I look like Daniel Radcliffe.
No.
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 Not at all.
No.
So not only...
Some people say I look like me.
Yeah, well you do look like you.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
You don't look like you, though.
I don't look like me.
You look like Daniel Radcliffe.